Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to share with you a real quick tip about something that I've been overlooking for a very long time, and I just had to hit myself on the head and just be like, you idiot, why have you not done this in the past all these years? And that is how to use super glue. This right here is actually it's called Advanced Angler Solutions glue. Somebody gave this to me at the Toyota Series Championship. We're going to use it. It's probably just like super glue, but for years I've been using super glue or stuff like this to glue my Elastec baits or soft plastic baits onto jig heads, chatter baits, spinner baits, whatever type of like weighted hook I'm using, Ned rig, all those different types of rigs where you want that bait to stay on the hook. I always considered super glue an obvious one for this because you've got all that surface area to glue the Elastec bait or the plastic to the jig head that you're using. So, I've always done that to keep the bait from sliding down the hook. Now, most of the jig heads that I use with Z-Man, like this finesse-sized jig head, have a really good keeper on them, so you really don't have to do it all that much. But if you really want to be super efficient, you never want to have to deal with the bait coming down the hook, super glue has always been a big deal. But one thing I've always struggled with is like flipping, pitching, punching, and having my soft plastic baits slide down my offset shank hook, and also like casting like let's say a turbo fatties or some type of swimming worm or a swim bait through grass. It's so frustrating when you're doing that, and or like a toad. It's so frustrating when you're making these long casts and the first pad it comes to, the nose of the bait slides down the shank of the hook and it just catches every single pad or reed back to the boat. Very frustrating. And I don't know why I didn't think about this solution in the past, but just recently what I started to do, and I hit myself when I figured this out, is that, so say you've got a Texas rig here. This is a punching rig. This is the rod I was using at Gunnersville, but we've got a pegged, big weight here. And then you got my offset shank hook. This will work on a straight shank hook too, I'm sure. But instead of just putting the bait on there, and Texas rigging it like normal, this still leaves the opportunity for the hook to, the shank to kind of pull down. Let's see if I can get this a little bit closer. Let's do this. I'm gonna move the camera a little bit closer. All right, so with this, you can see that it still has the opportunity to pull down the shank, okay? And the frustrating thing is when you're especially when you're punching or casting over large grass flats, is that often this bait will actually, slide down the shank of the hook. Okay, even with that bend in that EWG. But what I did, and it was just so obvious, I can't believe I haven't been doing it. And those of you that have figured this out way before me, you can just laugh at me, that's fine. But I just put a little dab of super glue or whatever this Avid Angler glue is. I'm not sponsored by them, they just gave me this stuff. But put that on the eye of the hook and let that dry. And when I started doing this, I never in a day's time of fishing had the bait go down the shank of the hook. It stayed in place right where it should. And man, I can't believe that I haven't done this in the past. So the tip is that if you're fishing soft plastic baits, you probably should be putting super glue on the head of your hook. Now, here's the caveat, and it's a little bit self-serving, is the fact that if you're using a Lastech, you know, all these baits like the goat here, super strong. They're durable. So as long as you can keep that bait on the hook, you're probably going to be able to fish it all day. Traditional plastics are not the same way, so it's like they're kind of single use. So if you get a fish, or you know, fish bites the tail off of a traditional plastic, you know, that bait is ruined pretty quick. So if you super glue a traditional bait onto the hook, you know, it's only as good as the rest of the bait, you know, survives. But a Lastech, you're pretty much sure to have the bait survive throughout you know, most of a fishing day, if not the entire fishing day and into the next day. And so this super glue tip really excels when it comes to your Lastech baits, because it's so durable. Once you do that, man, it's just crazy. And the thing is, like, you don't have to worry about hooking percentage either, because the Lastech is so soft and compressible that you know, when you set the hook, you don't need that bait, the head of the bait, to move anywhere for you to get a good hooking percentage. That Lastech will move out of the way and expose that hook point very well. And that's the other good point, is when your bait is perfectly straight on a Texas rig like this, on an EWG, that hook point never wants to come through the bait unless you want it to, so you're not snagging on any grass. So this is going to be a really good option, not only for like flipping, pitching, and punching, but casting, you know, baits like a turbo fatties through large grass flats. So anyways, guys, that is something that I just feel silly that I've never done before the last couple weeks, and when I started doing it, it completely changed the game for me as far as efficiency, and as far as, you know, never having to straighten out my bait on the water. So give this a shot. I want to hear what your guys' results are with it, and I also want to hear if you've been doing this all along and you just think it's silly that a professional angler hasn't done it before. But anyways, guys, drop a comment below. I'm going to see you guys out on the water. Take care.